This is the man from Modesto. I want to talk about a spiritual principle. In the Bible, they say, hey, before you talk about the speck in your brother's eye, remove the mote from your own eye. And this is a spiritual principle. The Native Americans talk about it. They said, hey, when you sit down to the campfire, the guy you sit across from, he's a reflection of who you truly are. And whatever you don't like about him, that's what you really don't like about yourself. The indigenous tribes of Australia also taught the same thing, that whatever you didn't like about someone else at the campfire, that's your own problem. There was a book called The Walkabout or something like this several years ago. The author discusses that principle. So there's this idea, and even the psychologist Jung, who primarily just translated a bunch of Eastern stuff, he called this projection, and you're probably more familiar with this term, that you project your own problems onto someone else. Now here's the deal. You are unaware of it, but your conscious mind knows. I mean, your subconscious mind is fully aware of what you're doing and what your own problems are. So now let's look at the things that atheists accuse to others. Number one, you stupid Christians, you're deluded by a man-made book. Really? Here's the deal. The Bible, actually, all 66 books that were chosen by some men in 300, but which were written at the time that those actions took place, and by people who actually saw them, they are testimonies and letters written at the time that they happened, that those have a code that runs all through those passages. You see, written in the Hebrew and the Greek, their letters were used also as their numbers. They didn't have a separate number system. So if we were the same, A would be 1, B would be 2, C would be 3, all right? And we use letters for numbers in hexadecimal and other coding systems, other mathematical systems. So it's no foreign idea. Now the study of this is called gematria by the Jews, the descendants of the Hebrews, and we know how this works, okay? So the Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek, and all those numbers, if you added the columns and if you added the rows, they came out to exact numbers. And that pattern follows the whole Bible. So here's the thing. It was written by one author who understood the code. And he wrote it in thousands of years before Christ and during the time of Christ and in the few decades following Christ. All of those people wrote those books by the inspiration of one source, the creator of all things. God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's where that book came from. And this is no theory. It's proven. It can be shown. And there's a man, his name is Shekel. It's his username on a website called christianforums.net. And by reading through that code, he was able to name the exact day, because there's hidden information in those codes, that Saddam Hussein would be hanged. You see, so in different topics, like for instance, they'll be talking about plagues of diseases coming. If you read through the code hidden in those letters diagonally and through different numerical sequences and patterns, you can put together, they'll call out things like AIDS or plagues or the names of modern diseases. Even Hitler was predicted in what's called the Bible code. So the Bible is filled with information which is foretelling and foreshadowing. So it is proven that the Bible is a supernatural work, not created by men at all. Now, on the other hand, let's look at who is deluded into books made by man. Now, who produces textbooks? All these people, they believe in evolution. You go to school, only the rich people who own all the corporations, they'll only hire you into those really high-paying jobs if you get yourself a 4-year degree. Now, you go to the 4-year degree, you go to the school, and you have to take a mandatory class on evolution. Even if you're have nothing to do with biology or the natural sciences, you're going to have to take a class on evolution. Businessmen, bam, got to take evolution. You also have to take a course on multiculturalism or religions of the world, and they're going to give you 1 day on Christianity and 2 months on Islam. Why is that? Why is that? Because it's a bottleneck. They only want the rich and powerful, the people who are going to become wealthy, who are going to become managers and leaders of society and are going to have a position to become a leader in society. They want you to think a certain way. That's where they brainwash you. If you want to do a search, you're going to find that all the textbook publishing companies, like 99%, are owned by one group. The media are all owned. It all comes down to a few small groups. A website called Pack Alert Press recently published their results, their findings, that it's all owned by just 4 companies. 10 years ago, it was 96 companies. Today, it's just 4. Even 10 years ago, it wasn't really 96 companies. It was just 96 trickle-down fronts, right? They were all owned at the pinnacle by the same small group of people who all worship Satan. And that's the fight that exists, a battle between people who worship Satan and people who know that God is the true power in the universe. And our battle is not against each other. Our battle is for your souls. And that's why I'm reaching out to you atheists, is because I want you to understand that you are deluded, not us. We have the truth and you have a lie. And you need to do some research. And if you don't do some real research and you just take what they spoon feed you at the college campus and say, hey, there's a high correlation between education and believing if there's God or not. Yeah, that's because there's a high correlation between who's brainwashed by lies and who believes lies. It's not because you're superior intellect. It's because you were duped. This is the man from Modesto, reminding everyone as always to pray or be defeated.